Hello, my name is Havala Gianetta, and welcome to my 7th reading update for my GoFundMe campaign to finish a nonfiction memoir that I'm working on. I've talked in the past about some of the supernatural experiences that I've had. In a couple of other earlier reading updates, I mentioned a dream I had about the feminine divine, as well as a conversation I had with my godmother and spiritual mentor about talking to God. This is a more specific dream, a predictive or prophetic dream. So I begin every excerpt with a quote, and this one is from Katy Perry. This is transcendental on another level. Boy, you're my lucky star. I want to walk on your wavelength and be there when you vibrate. For you, I'll risk it all. It's supernatural. And that's from the Katy Perry song, E.T. Well, bye then, I shrugged, lounging against the wall as I tried to look like I didn't care whether or not he stayed. Bye, Jace grinned. He leaned toward me until he was so close that I could feel the warmth emanating from his naked skin. And Havala, he lowered his voice to a silky purr as his green eyes met mine. If you ever get hungry again, come find me. You can eat me anytime you want. Oh, dear God. I inhaled sharply, digging my fingers into my arms as I tried to conjure some sort of witty comeback through the haze of sex thoughts that clouded my mind. Jay smirked at me again before stepping through the suite door, and I exhaled, finally able to take a full breath now that he was out of the room. But I couldn't resist ogling that muscular physique one last time, so I followed him, resting my overheated body against the doorframe while I tried to keep my breathing steady. It was always difficult not to hyperventilate when Jace was around, but when I turned to watch him go, I stopped breathing altogether. I'd been here before. In this short hallway that opened into a larger one, with a door on its right side and posters spaced out along its walls, watching a tall, blonde boy with a bare back walk away from me. Suddenly, I wasn't a college student at a campy Halloween party anymore. I was in 8th grade again, traipsing next to Vicky and Fiona as my own words echoed through me from my younger self. I had this weird dream about a boy last night, but I don't think I know him. He was tall and blonde, but I couldn't see his face. It was strange. Nothing really happened. He was just in a hallway, walking away from me. Everything seemed to dissolve around me as Jace's retreating figure filled my mind. You, I thought. You were the boy I dreamed about 5 years ago. I wanted to say something to try to make him stay, but my throat had gone dry. All I could do was stare, frozen in place as Jace disappeared from the hallway. So awkward. I don't even understand why you did it. I blinked as an annoying buzz at the edge of my thoughts, Michaela's voice, pulled me back to the present. What? I said that was the most awkward nipple lick I've ever seen, she huffed. Well, how many have you seen? I muttered, still shaken by the fulfillment of my childhood dream. I didn't know I was being graded. Seriously, though, Michaela continued as she and Dylan began moving one of the common room couches back into place. You just kind of leaned over and put your mouth around it. What were you thinking? Well, I wasn't planning it, I said defensively. He was standing right next to me, and he smelled good, and then it just happened. Michaela rolled her eyes. Well, you should have... Can we just clean this up, please? I interrupted, eager to leave the party as soon as possible. I needed time to process this. Once everyone had left, I curled up on my bed, still in my French maid costume, trying to figure out what had happened. How could I not have known? After years of practicing prayer and prophecy, I didn't have a clue that I'd seen Jace before, until tonight. I should have realized it was something spiritual the first time I saw him, when I felt like I'd been struck by a thunderbolt. But how could I have known? I'd never met someone I dreamed about before, and Jace had had a different haircut until recently, much longer than the one he had now. But none of that really mattered anymore. I sat bolt upright on my bed. The important thing was that I had to tell. All this time, we'd been going around in circles, avoiding each other, coming back to each other. But now, if I could tell him the truth and explain everything, maybe the relationship could actually go somewhere. My mind raced as I reached toward my roam phone, trying to configure an explanation for the dream that his logical, rational brain would understand. So, Jace, I practiced. I'm actually a prophet, and sometimes no, that word had too much baggage attached. It would be better to stick to concepts instead of labels. So, Jace, sometimes I have visions or dreams about things before they happen, and I actually dreamed about seeing you tonight. I wandered around my middle school for 2 days, wondering who you were, if you were even real. And I don't dream about everyone I know before I meet them, so I think you and I were supposed to meet. No. Telling an atheist who had no spiritual beliefs whatsoever that I thought we were destined to meet would probably freak him out. And his friends already thought I was weird for refusing to have sex with him, so insinuating that we had some sort of cosmic connection, or that I claimed to see the future at all, would only make things worse. I hadn't forgotten the contempt in Jace's expression when he asked, "Havala, how can you believe in God? You're so intelligent." The memory still stung. No, I'd have to approach it differently. So, Jace, you love physics, right? Which means you know that time isn't linear, or at least not from every perspective. Have you ever experienced something that you couldn't explain scientifically, like something supernatural? I sighed. That didn't sound right either. My hand shrunk back from the phone as the adrenaline rush ebbed from my body, and I lay down again, curling into myself as tears welled up in my eyes. There was no point in telling Jace the truth if he wasn't going to believe me. Besides, if the dream about Jace turned out to be real, then chances were that the other dream, the one about the dark-haired European whom Ruby predicted I would marry, that dream might be real too. All right, thanks so much for listening. If you'd like to contribute to my GoFundMe campaign, I will put the link in the video below, and I hope to post my 8th reading update soon.